Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you to our witnesses for being here today. Mr. Gardner, I appreciate that you're constantly evaluating new routes and new service options for Amtrak and for your riders. But it's come to my attention that Amtrak is eyeing the use of the South Shore rail line in my district, which runs through North Central and then ultimately over to the west and northwest Indiana. It's a well-established and recently upgraded commuter rail service line that's going through a double-track addition right now over the Michigan City area in order to speed up the rail line service between South Bend and Chicago. One of the things that I'm concerned about is if Amtrak were to assert authority and come in on that line, what I'd like to know from you, and my real question is, would you commit to working with the South Shore to ensure that it would not face any undue scheduling or burden costs should you come in and use that line?
Thank you for the question, Congressman. And you're right, we are looking at a variety of options. No decisions made yet about how we improve our service from Chicago south of the lake. This is vital to our service to Michigan, vital for our long-distance trains, vital for the number of trains that we hope in the future can operate in the Midwest. So the South Shore route is one potential route. As you said, it's recently double-tracked, gone through comprehensive upgrading, and is a great passenger-controlled route. We run into significant problems on the freight lines that are parallel to the South Shore, and it impacts on-time performance for all of these trains. Certainly, we would do so cooperatively with the South Shore. Our conversations with them have always been about looking to see if there's an opportunity for a partnership. The frequency per hour is relatively low. I mean, for instance, we have 24 trains an hour on a two-track railroad in the Northeast. I think there's lots of capacity there, but we'd have to make sure it can be utilized in a way that doesn't take away from the South Shore's business, and I think would be actually a net benefit because you'd have another railroad that could come. We would contribute in as necessary and as we do under our access rights under law, and be able to be a partner for the South Shore and to serve the communities that are today served by the South Shore with intercity service, which today they aren't all.
Thank you, Mr. Gardner. And my hope is that it would be collaborative in a way that doesn't negatively affect the times of the South Shore or put any undue cost burden on them. So thank you for that commitment, and I'll be continuing to watch this as we go forward. I want to shift gears and understand how Amtrak makes decisions on new service. You indicated in your opening statement that Amtrak is starting the new Great River Route this year. It's a daily trip between Chicago and St. Paul, Minnesota. Can you tell us how long will it take for that train? What's the total commute time between Chicago and Minneapolis? St. Paul.
If my memory serves me, it's about 6 hours on the current route of the Empire Builder. So this is a service we have today, a long-distance train that goes from Chicago to Seattle and Portland. And what we're able to do with this service, between a partnership between the three states involved here, Minnesota, Wisconsin, and Illinois, is take an existing frequency of the Hiawatha service, which goes to Milwaukee, and run that service west across the current route to the Twin Cities. So it adds
on
a
this
second
new
frequency.
service route, I'm showing, my data shows that you're looking at about 7.5 hours of total time between Chicago and St. Paul along that route. I'd like to unpack the financials a little bit. How much federal and taxpayer subsidies do you expect on an annual basis for this route to get it up and running?
Well, the federal taxpayer subsidy will be very limited, as you probably know. These state-supported services, I'd have to get back to you on the specifics for this route, but the states pay the operating subsidy. That's sort of the deal under this state-supported partnership.
Which is still taxpayer money. So the total number here is about $7 million per year to get that route up and running. And so on a 7.5-hour commute, you can drive it in 6 hours. We also checked flights going from Chicago up to Minneapolis, and we just picked a random day, August 8th. We found that there are 18 nonstop flights per day between Chicago and the Minneapolis-St. Paul area, and those run from 6 a.m. all the way through 10 p.m. at a cost of, the lowest cost of $84 per ticket on just picking a random day. And so what I'm trying to understand is, how is this a good business and financial decision for Amtrak given those facts and $7 million a year of taxpayer money?
So again, primary financial costs are borne by the states, and they elect to do this because they see value. Today, the origin-destination pair between the Twin Cities and Chicago is one of our strongest pairs on the Empire Builder. But of course, since it's a train that comes once a day, there are many travelers who don't find the schedule convenient for the Empire Builder. So this provides a second frequency at a different time of day that allows folks to use the train. We see people elect the train all the time for many reasons. Many are too old to drive or they dislike driving. Air service, of course, is not always reliable, particularly in bad weather. This creates redundancy in the modes and gives us more options and more folks a chance to travel. So we anticipate strong demand.
Thank you, Mr. Gardner. Mr. Chairman, I yield back.
Mr. Yakym, thank you.